Good evening everyone, and thank you for joining in today. In this video I'm going to be breaking down the Civic Type R and the Focus RS, and we're going to choose in the comments, and on this video I'll reveal at the end of it which one I would decide to go with if I was in the market for a car right now. So we're going to start out with the positives of the Civic Type R. First thing that I feel is a positive would be the appearance. It is the most boy racer car on the market right now in the United States. There's no doubt about it. There's not another car out there that looks more aggressive or crazy than the Civic Type R, and I find this a big positive. There's a lot of aero on it, but all of the aero is doing something. There's carbon fiber splitters all the way around. If you take a look at this image here, the car, it looks extremely level across the bottom. If you look at the carbon fiber splitters and diffusers that sit from the front to the back, it just looks beautiful. It's just really well designed. The aero under the car and the way it flows over the car looks really good. It's functional, and that's why I find that to be a positive. The second thing that's a positive, that I feel a positive over the Ford Focus RS, would be it's a Honda, so reliability is huge here. I had a Civic Si before I had my Focus ST that I currently have, and I mean, I could run that thing as hard as I wanted. All I needed to do is change the oil on it. I had it for about 65,000 miles, and it just ran beautifully. Everything was engineered perfectly in it. It was simple, it was fun to drive, and I actually still miss it to this day. The third thing on the positives list for the Civic Type R is it's the fastest front-wheel drive car around the Nürburgring. So posting a time of 7:43, I believe it was, you have a special world record, not world record, but ring record car, whereas the Focus RS is really not special in that sense. I don't know the Focus RS time around the ring, so I'll post that below right here. But I just feel it's really cool to have a car that's been proven at that level on the Nürburgring, where all of these manufacturers are currently going. Even the Alfa Romeo Quadrifoglio Stelvio Quadrifoglio is now lapping the ring. It's the fastest SUV around the ring at 7 minutes and 51 seconds. I just think it's really cool to have a car that has that potential on the track. It has the 3 drive modes, Comfort, Sport, and R. It's just a really special car in that sense. And it's something to talk about as well. It's also the first Type R in the United States. Overseas in Europe, they've been spoiled with the Mugen RR. They've had Type Rs for years. Yeah, obviously we all get the SIs. But having the first one coming to the States, and it's turbocharged, and it has 3 exhaust pipes, it looks crazy, it has holes in the racing seats for a 5-point harness. I mean, it's just built so well. I mean, I can't get over all the minor details. They just did everything right. And for them to come out first with the touring model, which has everything on it, I guess they're also going to be coming out with a lower end Type R, which should be a sub $30,000 car. It's not going to have the wheels and some of the aero and all of the technology inside the car. It's going to be more of a stripped down base model. It's going to be more affordable, but they launched it with all of the options, and I think that was very smart of them. Because you're going to make the most margin that way, and you're going to get the buyers really excited about it. You're putting your best out there first, then you're going to put not as good of one out there second, and that's going to bring in buyers that it was a little out of their range, and they're looking to tune the car. So I think that was smart on Honda's part. Plus, it gives you something to be excited about coming up. It's also a very rare car. I don't know the production limit on it. I think they're going to build them as necessary for demand, to meet the demand. It's extremely rare. I've seen one out here in Arizona, and I think it was a dealer car. I'm not really sure. I actually checked Craigslist, and there's a white one for sale out here for $45,000 on Craigslist. I can't believe someone would pay over MSRP for a car like that. I don't care how rare it is or whatever. It's just a Honda Civic Type R. They're going to build more, and I think it's ridiculous. I'll have a whole different video on that and how to fix that. Another positive on the Type R over the Focus RS is it has a more spacious and I think comfortable interior. I have not sat in a Type R. I have sat in an RS, and I own an ST. With the ST3 package, I have the leather Recaro seats. What I will say is the RS feels, even for some reason, it feels more tight in the cabin. As you're sitting in the driver's seat, there is no way to tilt the base of the seat for it to go down so your legs can sit more flat. They're always up in an angle like this. So on long road trips, you can kind of, it's a little uncomfortable on long road trips, to be honest with you. It's not a bad thing. It's not a reason not to get the car, but it's just something that I feel like it's a very simple motion what they could have done with the chair that would have made a big difference in driving the ST and the RS. So the more spacious interior in the Type R. I've sat in the new Civic Si. The interiors are almost identical as far as ergonomics go. So the seats are somewhat similar. There's a lot of room across the center console. There's just, you feel more open in that car. I don't think the shifter position is quite as comfortable as in RS. I think it's more like, it's a little too high is what I felt. But again, I just think the Type R has a more spacious interior. So in that sense, I think that's another positive over the Focus RS. So now let's move on to the negatives of the Civic Type R. The first thing, the elephant in the room, what everyone says first, it's front wheel drive. And you know what? You're exactly right. I've had a Civic Si, like I said. I currently have a Focus ST. Front wheel drive it's not the most pure form of driving, obviously. You can, rear wheel drive, I would say is, and putting the power down is the main issue. Because, you're at a red light and you have all this power, but then you're front wheel drive and those wheels are gonna spin. Or you're going to get wheel hop or something like that. In the Civic Type R, they do have a limited slip differential up front, a helical limited slip differential, and they've done similar to what Ford did with the old RS. They have it's almost like a Revo knuckle, so that helps. They said it eliminates almost all of the torque steer in that. The 0 to 60 times is mid fives. It's like 5.5, 5.6, 5.7 are the numbers that I've seen. With the power output it has, if it was all-wheel drive, it would be a sub-5 car, probably high 4s. So the only reason you have those high 5 seconds is because of the front-wheel drive. Now, what I will say is front-wheel drive, like I said in my previous video, it saves weight, and I bet driving this car on a track is just an absolute joy. I've heard that the understeer on it it's really not that bad at all, but it is front-wheel drive. I would say that's a negative part of the car. Again, it's the fastest front-wheel drive car in the world around the Nürburgring, so that's up to you to see how important that is. I mean, if snow is a big part of your life, probably going to go with the RS. The other thing that I've noticed with the Type R is the sound from the factory is not great. I watch all these videos on it just because I'm so excited to hear that Honda high revving engine, and it's just because the turbocharger really makes it quiet. It's kind of disappointing. And whereas the Focus RS, the exhaust, the pops, the bangs, it's just crazy, it's loud, it's exactly what you want. That's something that Honda needs to work on with the Civic Type R. Yes, there's the aftermarket, but hey, why not make it great from the factory so the aftermarket has to go a step up? I've said that before. Just make the aftermarket really work hard. The final negative that I will throw out there is the 20-inch wheels. I remember when the RS came out with 19-inch wheels, and I was like, holy hell. 19-inch wheels on a Focus? That's crazy. And now you have 20-inch wheels on a Civic. That's crazier. I don't know. It's not that I'm thinking the ride is too harsh or anything like that. It just seems like if you'd cut the wheel size down, you'd save a little bit more weight. The tires are probably crazy expensive to put on that, and I think they should have put 19-inch wheels on it. That's my point there. I think 20 is a little crazy, but I'm not an engineer, and the Honda engineers are some of the best in the world. They got it to go around the ring in 743 better than anyone else, so who am I to say that? But I just think 20-inch, a little too much there. So now let's move on to the positives of the Ford Focus RS. Let's start with the positives. all-wheel drive. You can take this thing through sand dunes, mud, uphill, through an avalanche, whatever you want. It has all-wheel drive, it's through snow, anything. All-wheel drive, money. It has launch control. Another positive, it has drift mode. You can hit a button on this car and you will be Ken Block. You immediately start wearing monster gear, shoots out of the trunk and onto your body, and you turn into Kenneth Block with drift mode, okay? It has much more tuning potential, and what I mean by this, obviously the Civic is newer, the Type R is newer than the RS, but what I mean about the tuning potential is you can put more power down on the road. You can make this a 400 horsepower car like this with a tune from Mound Tune, you know, chip tune, intakes, things like that. Very quickly it's a 400 horsepower car, whereas the Civic Type R, if it was a 400 horsepower car, a lot of that power is just going to be spinning the wheels. In this sense, if you're looking to tune a car, project car, I would say go with the Focus RS, because you're going to be able to actually put that power down on the ground. Speaking of power, it does have 350 horsepower compared to the Honda's 306 horsepower. So again, right out of the box, it already has more power. Now some of that is lost through the all-wheel drive system, through the differentials, through the inertia and all of that. So there is some loss there. 350 horsepower out of the factory is a lot more than the 306 for the Honda, and it's to all four wheels. The exhaust here is another positive. They've tuned this exhaust. Now the pops and bangs are not natural, those are kind of tuned in to happen, but I don't really care. It sounds amazing. If you've heard a Focus RS in sport mode after it lets off the throttle and the overrun, those bangs and pops, sounds amazing. Great job by Ford in that sense. Now onto the negatives of the RS. Ford reliability. Reliability in any car that's built in this day and age, I don't like to harp on that. Everyone's like, oh, Ford sucks and Honda's great and Subaru's great, you know, all that stuff. If you're maintaining your car properly, you're changing the oil, you're cleaning it, you're doing all that stuff, all the stuff that the manual says to do, you're not going to have any issues. And any issues that you do have, the dealership is going to take care of it. Now, I've had comments on my videos where people say my turbo went, a guy just got his ST, and I guess his turbo went after 3,000 miles. It was a quick fix at the dealership. And yes, it's annoying to go to the dealership to have your new car fixed or whatever. But I don't like to harp on reliability. However, I have heard there were issues with the RS, but again, I think that's the internet speaking and not necessarily owners speaking, and it's probably the few having issues that with the loudest mouths ruining it for the majority. So not something I would harp on if you're making this decision between these two cars. But I will say, and I think almost everyone would agree with this, that Hondas are more reliable. They're right up there with Toyotas, some of the most reliable cars on earth. Another negative of the RS is the cramped interior. Like I said before, I've sat in the SI, which is almost identical. It pretty much is identical interior space ergonomics to the Type R. There's a lot of space in there. I have an ST, and you're just you're cramped. The seats are jammed in there. You can't move your legs much. The buttons are all kind of, here and you're there. It's a little cramped. And the Honda does that a little bit better. Another issue here is the price can clear $40,000. I'm pretty sure the new one, which is a limited run in the United States, they're sending 1,000 to the US, 1,500 to Canada. The difference is there's some exterior differences. The roof's black. There's a limited slip differential up front. Everything comes in the highest package, and I think it's like a $42,000 car. The Type R is topping out at $33,800. So, again, it's all-wheel drive. There's a lot, there's things to consider, but is the RS worth $8,000 more than the Type R? I don't know. It's tough to say. So those are what I would say are the negatives of the Focus RS. Now, which one of these would I choose? I took some time to think about this, and if I was buying a car right now, I think I would choose the Civic Type R. To me, it's a more special car than the RS. They are both the first of their type in the United States. We've never had an RS. We've never had a Type R. But there's just something about the Honda that is a little more exciting to me. I can't really put my thumb on it. Maybe it's just the fact that it's newer than the RS. The RS has been around for so long, and I've watched 14 million videos. Every video on YouTube possible for the RS, I've seen it. I've been waiting and waiting and waiting. Type R, I knew it was coming, but I wasn't as focused on it for a long time. So maybe that was why that's why I'm a little more excited about the Civic Type R. It's just kind of a mysterious car to the US. The lineage it has in its past it's just incredible. It's like a forbidden fruit to the United States. And there's something about it that I really appreciate. And I just love Hondas in general. I'm a Honda fanboy. For sure. That's where I'm at. So I appreciate if you're still with me. Go ahead and drop a like on this, but I also want to hear what you would choose. Would you choose the Type R? Would you choose the RS? Is there something else that you would choose that I'm not touching on in this video? But yeah, that's what I have to say. So if you like this video, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I have plenty of videos coming like this. I cover my Focus ST constantly. I'm keeping up to date on car news, etc. So appreciate the support, and we'll see you soon.